Hello and welcome to the Astronaut Nature. This is the third episode of the second season of this podcast. And if you have no idea what is this about, I would say just trust your capacity for catching up to the general concept, the general subject. It will be easy to detect every time. It could translate also into curiosity or confusion or both, but it will be always easy to get there anyways. Kind of like what happens when we try to define the complexity of simplicity. In any case, I believe that it is more than just food for thought, even though it is exactly that. Why could this thing be several things and just a few at the same time? It doesn't matter. What really matters is the fact of your consideration of this in whatever percentage. Because, and hear me out, if you grasp any of this, it could and it will change your perception of pretty much everything in the most convenient way for you. Yes, it could and it will become a personalized new system of conversing with reality itself. But of course, if you don't find any of that or any of this relevant, by all means, just forget about it and search for something else. That's the normal thing to do. In any case, if the motivation is there, if you are a little bit intrigued about whatever is going on here, please stick around. I would like that. I promise you that your time will be more than compensated with, let's say, relevant ideas and life-changing perspectives. And yes, I am daring to sound pretentious. The reason why I do that is because I believe in my message. As of today, this endeavor called the Astronaut Nature has been and is a labor of curiosity and discovery that so far has worked without any sponsorship or any other motivation other than the need to share some knowledge, some data that I understand to be one of the keys to redefine our presence within this existence. Info delivered in simple monologues and honest, yet sometimes nerdy and bizarre. But those are just the attributes of this podcast in the way that it is expressed here. If you are interested in knowing more about the origins of the Astronaut Nature, you could also explore previous episodes where I have explained the main idea many times through the first season and beyond. But my unsolicited advice right now could be to stay here. Because if this is your first encounter with this combo of ideas and suggestions, then this is where you and this begin something new. And that is not only convenient and easy, but also something else that we could only learn by experiencing it. I don't find any other way to express what I'm trying to say. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Why don't we just give this thing a try and see what happens? Okay then, this is the third episode of the second season of the Astronaut Nature. Like I said before, the name of this one is Candid, Bandit. And that's it. That's it for the intro. So here we go. I like everything that can be explained in an easy, clear, and simple way. No matter what the subject might be, I believe that there's always a way to simplify it when we want to share information. I'm always looking for something to make the whole entire experience of this podcast more dynamic. And recently, in the search of a friendly system that can access that portion of our learning process, that portion that simply works, I found something interesting, something related to storytelling and dialogue, something that can reach beyond the intellectual argument, allowing your attention, my attention, to perform a gentle consideration of anything and everything useful that might interact with our perception, and simply filtering out whatever else that might not be of interest or convenience. Basically the same Candid intelligence that did learn how to talk and walk without interference, comparison, without negotiation, just the learning process in a pure way. That part that listens because it can, that part that sees and feels because it is active and alive, that part, that portion. So let me share with you a little piece of fiction. Let's see if this clarifies a few points that I have been exploring, but not in this format. So with a little bit of storytelling and fiction, we want to try something new. Okay, here's the story. Let's imagine that I had the chance to have a conversation with an intelligent being from somewhere other than this planet. Maybe from another dimension, maybe. I would say if you consider one circumstance like that, it will probably require a few things, yes or yes, like some research and investigation, deep investigation to establish commonalities and differences with whomever I'm interacting, if it's not a being from this planet, from this area of existence. Why? Because it'd be interesting to learn as much as possible from that unique and amazing experience. I mean, what would you do given the opportunity? All right. Let's also imagine that luckily I kept a decent audio evidence of that conversation. Evidence that, of course, I would be willing to share with you for your consideration as well. And let's say that that's what I'm going to do in this podcast. All right. Let me tell you a little bit more about how this whole thing goes. The beginning of this adventure is a very casual one. One evening, a little bit maybe not so much evening, maybe afternoon, while exploring the possibilities of not new, but at least from my perspective, very interesting application for my phone, which function was supposed to make my mobile phone into something else communication-wise. It was supposed to make my phone mimic a classic walkie-talkie intercom, connecting me with random channels and random users from anywhere in the world. What I didn't know and initially didn't believe that was possible, I'm referring to the fact that this application could reach or be reached by somebody or something outside the preconceived borders of this world or dimension. And I don't think the developers of the application itself knew that that was possible either. So it started with a series of high-pitched little noises that, because I was finding them over and over through different channels, the whole thing took the best of my curiosity, and I let my curiosity guide me to an attempt of communication with whomever or whatever was sending those sounds to so many different channels, so many different frequencies, assuming that maybe it was nothing, it was only like a glitch, and fully aware that the expected and preferred tool of interaction in this application was verbal, but a little annoyed for the persistence of these little noises. And having zero expectations, I proceeded to say, hey, hello, what's up with the beeps and clicks showing up in every active channel? After that, I noticed a good 5 seconds, maybe a little bit more, of silence, total silence. No matter what frequency, I could only hear the intercom on and off sound, but not even the static that was there before. And after those 5 seconds of nothing, a calm and clear voice showed up, replying to my hello with a simple hello back, followed by an apology saying, sorry for the noises. I was hoping to call somebody's attention, and you said hello, referring to the sounds. So I understood that I have been noticed after long periods of trying. Finally, somebody from your planet, from your plane of existence, is acknowledging my signs. Something like that. And then the boys said, that makes me happy and excited. Please, let's talk. After that, I found myself way more curious than before and decided to allow the conversation to happen, making sure I was recording the whole thing, just out of a hunch that I had at first when this thing started. Absolutely sure of a good decision taken later and sure letting the other end of the communication know about the conversation being recorded. So that was okay. After the introduction and the essential clarification about locations and intentions, or at least I tried with the expected uncertainty about the whole thing. It was a little bit hard for me to believe in any of that as something that was actually real. But in any case, I carry on with the chat, and this is the recording of it. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you understand that it is difficult to believe what you are saying about you and all this thing? And as much as I would like it to be true, it is a little bit difficult to believe that it is.
Over.
Yes, I understand. Would you play alone anyways?
Over.
Yeah, sure, this is fun. A little bit of a cliche, but entertaining either way. So what is the deal? What do you do here? What do you know about us, about our world, assuming that you're not from here? I didn't even get that confirmation from you, but let's cut the chase. What do you know about us?
Over.
This will also sound a bit of a cliche. I have been paying attention to your existence for a while now, following some particular aspects of your social dynamics and some aspects that I found hard to justify and fascinating at the same time.
Over.
Oh, this means, or maybe I'm wrong, but have you ignored our need for privacy? I'm just giving you a hard time, but have you?
Over.
Only when the case study needed deeper and more detailed observation. Always from a very neutral perspective, or at least as neutral as I could. Everything in the name of understanding more about you and this planet and hoping to find enough of a reason to do what we are doing right now, communicating in real time. I apologize again if you find my methods intrusive. I assure you no harm was done in any way in this research.
Over.
Okay, no worries. No harm was done, at least not yet. Just kidding. If what you said about your origin and reality is true, you know what? By all means, help yourself to any level of investigation you might require.
Over.
It's very generous and a bit sarcastic of your part, but mostly an act of good faith and hope for this to be what I told you it is. To what I could advise you something. Pay more attention at the content of our conversation than anything else. I honestly believe that this interaction will be truly entertaining and seriously educational in more than one beneficial way, but mostly entertaining and fun.
Over.
Okay, great. Good selling job. No, but seriously, and again, at risk of driving this friendly dialogue into another silly cliche corner, I have to ask, how can you speak the language that I'm using right now so fluently, having in mind that you are probably not even human? You haven't confirmed or denied how is the shape of your biological persona, but how can you speak the language like that? What is the deal? Do you have a way to learn something really fast, or are we using a bridge, mechanical scientific bridge or whatever?
Over.
You're correct. It will sound like another science fiction cliche, But it is your science fiction what has already explained it all for you guys. Just to briefly give you a simple description of how is this translation happening and why, and perhaps some other details. Two reasons that are a lot more relevant than the mechanics of this moment. It is happening because, yes, I do use a different system of verbal communication. My language sounds different in many ways. And in essence, it is just a language and it works like yours. Therefore, if we are going to interact verbally, a link of translation is needed. There you have the reason and the why. Now, the how and the mechanics of this could be described as a balance between empathy and technology, elements that are not so different from each other. That is what allows me to be heard by you and also understood while I am understanding your words simultaneously. And yes, I know you do not have this particular piece of technology here on this planet, but only because you did not need it. You do own many ways to digitally translate info into the many different Earth languages. What is happening right now is new for you, not for me, in the sense of having encountered interesting, possible new friends from races and places different than mine. When I'm saying races and places, I'm referring to galaxies, dimensional portals, whatever you want to use from science fiction to understand the meaning of what I'm saying. However, it is new for me in the fact that you are the first human that I have talked to in real time, ever. Over.
Wow. Well, awesome. Everything is new for me so far. And yeah, I'm doing my best to keep taking this seriously. Where are you from? Or where are you calling me from? Or what are you? And what's your name?
Over.
I knew you would ask that. But those are points that are not as interesting as the ones we could explore. So I will respectfully ask you if you could delay that part of your request for information in this conversation in order to go through other more interesting topics. Yes? Over.
Yeah, of course I'm fine. All right, let's go back to those points at a point, if you don't mind. Let's ask some questions then. I already made a few, so it is your turn. Over.
Excellent. Okay, according to what I have learned so far, there is a form of existential behavioral loop that basically everybody, including wildlife and even flora, experience in the content of whatever is alive on this planet. Meaning the steps that your life cycle takes. It's a loop. It's been repeating itself for who knows how long. Birth, childhood, youth, adulthood, old age, and death. With the many repetitions that structure will bring as well in other fields of your everyday existence. A cycle like that has been repeating on this planet forever. Why? I understand that this question will bring more questions, and I'm fine with that, and I hope you're too. Over.
I already have a few questions based on that one question you just formulated. I'm not sure if I understand the whole thing, but I do have questions already, and I don't know if I have an answer to your question, not yet at least. Okay, so you are from somewhere else. I have been assuming that since this conversation started. And we will not talk much more about that point for now, I promise. I get it. It could take the entire conversation over. I get it. However, I would like to know if this is related to either the application on my phone, or is it just the fact that in your search for a connection, you found an open channel? And the other thing is, why were you using noises instead of words? Or, you know what? Never mind. I don't really care. That's not what I'm trying to ask here. You might have your reasons. It doesn't matter. What I really want to know is, assuming your story is at least 50% legit, what is that you are hoping to find in your research involving humanity? Yeah, that's what I want to ask you. You mentioned the word friend a couple of times. I think that you did that. Not sure. But are you? Are you a friend? Friend or foe? Or neither?
Over.
Absolutely not an enemy, neither a possible one. If anything, a respectful interaction will suffice, but friendship is always welcome. And what am I searching for? What is the motivation of my investigation and observation? To be honest, I do not know yet. I will know it when I see it, I guess. I am curious about that as well. The engine of all this is just curiosity and the acquisition of more data about other expressions of interactive sentient intelligence and all that I could learn from that. I don't see you necessarily as only human. I see your entire presence in existence. You are a lot more than human.
What do you mean with more than humans? You mean more humans than humans? Or what do you mean exactly? Over.
Yeah, don't forget the human race or humanity are just the names that you use to refer to who you are as a race. But humanity is just a word, part of a language, or a language in itself, like a factor or a code, one of many possible profiles, existential profiles you could embody. The human one has been doing a good job so far. It has helped you to notice that you exist and you can interact. But there is a change happening. No doubt about that. I would not have noticed your existence if that would not be the case here. You'll see. But I can assure you that it's for the best. Good things are coming to you and everybody else on this planet. The thing about words is that words are just words, but they are also the containers of meanings, full of details and connections that are a lot older than the entire population of Earth. Words are the closest actual example of your idea of what alchemy is. Even your concept of magic could be compared to words, to the language. Words and sounds in general are summoning tools. They can conjure images, moods, time, people, etc. And in the case of the word humanity, or the combination of human race, those words carry a solid history with a very complex set of characteristics. Those words don't go anywhere without that content. The meaning of humanity is one that you can understand because it is the default mode for all of you as intelligent beings. The one that did, is, and will show you that you can be. But it is also a sample of one definition, one profile option, one existential way to interact with existence. But I repeat, it's not the only one.
Over.
That is super fucking interesting. So the language, more specifically the words, are like time capsules or capsules of meanings in many different layers, something like that.
Over.
Let's try an experiment so you can understand a little bit better. I want you to close your eyes and ask yourself right now. I'm sure you're laughing at this, but I want you to do this, please. Maybe you don't need to close your eyes, but ask yourself, what are you in the first person, of course, in silence. Ask that question with your mind to yourself, to your intelligence, to your perception, your intellect, whatever you want to call it. In the privacy of your brain, ask, what are you? And wait in silence for an answer. Don't try to help the answering in any way. Just wait for a few seconds. Don't do anything else but just the question. Do it now, please. Yes?
Over.
Okay, sure. Let's see. So I will ask myself, who am I? And yeah, okay. Let me relax a little bit. 1 second. All right, here we go.
Over.
Anything?
Over.
Nope. No, it's nothing. Unless I don't say it, it doesn't say anything. Over.
No answer about your humanity being the only possible way for existence, the only possible way for you, unless you say that. Like you just acknowledge. If you don't say it, there's nobody yelling at you from your inner space. You're a human being. Nothing. So therefore, Those are words. And yes, you could say that the answer probably could have been a silent one as well. But just to explain that, you need to use words. To explain that to me, you need to use words. And the word humanity, it's still just a word with all its power, but a word nevertheless. Words come into our perception. Sometimes we think that we know a little bit about their meanings, but our intelligence can get somehow the entire portion that we are not understanding, not intellectually, but physically or in any way possible, because each word is a container of information. And just like you have access to all that thing, this thing have access to your perception. But we are also trying to reach the point where you can understand that you also have access to many things, because you do have access to many words. That's why you can use the language. And since humanity is just a word, you can also have access to other forms of interacting with reality. You have access to many different interactive existential profiles. No needing to leave humanity as a factor, as a dear, essential thing, but not having that one outlet as your only definition and reason to be. This is a little bit complicated, but do you understand any of this?
Over.
Yeah, totally. This is really good. Weird, but it feels wise. There's a sense of freedom associated to what you're saying. I still find difficult to believe your origin story, but this information is cool. And the way you are sharing it is nice. It feels more like a sharing experience than a lecturing experience.
Over.
It is exactly that.
Over.
So humanity being many things, but also a word, what entitle and what does not allow? I mean, how does that thing affect us from your perspective? Does it make any sense what I'm saying? Over.
Humanity is the definition of that behavioral existential loop that you guys are so invested in. The one that I asked you as my first question. Remember the one you couldn't answer? Over.
Oh yeah, the cycle from birth to death. Over.
Yes, exactly. And many other things that are part of that repetition. Like the feeling that keeps reaffirming that it is the only way to go about anything existence related. And that is what the words can summon. There are a few things that you can summon by the means of the language and the way you use it and the name of things and all that are not just sounds. But in any case, it's always easy to detect. And once you see that it's not necessarily against you, it's just something that works, you can start getting a little bit more curious about what else is there. A whole entire set of beliefs is attached to certain words and beliefs, limitations, as well as other more abstract layers that so far you have only experienced or perceived as imagination and randomness. And so that is what they are, because you can only understand them or allow them to be in your consciousness in that way, because it feels like in any other way you can get really scared. But there is always a way to get there. And like I said before, things are changing for you in this area. Your perception of anything has more influence over what that would represent for you than you know. Not in the realm of not being sure, but in the most common definition of anything dependent on the label of addition or subtraction of credibility and perdurance in relationship with the imperative existing profile. This is getting a little bit complicated, but please follow me and just try to capture whatever is useful for you. In your case, your profile is humanity. However, like I said before, you can explore many different options besides humanity. Even generate original ones, not abandoning ever the possibility of returning to humanity, but more like a language, and never asking from that language to be more than whatever it is. Now, you as an intelligent sentient being, you can try many other existential profiles. It's in your nature. And you can experience a very light version of it when you act as a performer or dream or lie, etc. The fact that you're not bound to narrate the exact way things are developing around you, what we call truth or not truth. The fact that you can adorn or bend through narrative anything. The fact that you can write fiction. It is not only for the enjoyment of literature or to take advantage of the good faith of your fellow earthling because you are a professional liar. No, that is actually an incredible primitive symptom of you being able to be many things besides a lying, ignorant human or a great writer. There's more. But it takes certain experiences and a lot of curiosity to have access to the other side of the equation. You are doing just fine, by the way. You. Personally, you.
Over.
Oh, really? You mean me? Over.
Yes, really. I mean you.
Over.
Wait, this actually sounds... Hold on a second. This sounds too good to do not be true. So you are kind of telling me the truth here, right? About your otherworldly origins and all that. I mean, do I have a friend from another world now? Or how you want to call this? Over. Over. Hello? Over. Hello? To be continued.